Good evening, you're watching NewsX. I'm Megha Sharma. Every single day of the week at 6 p.m. we have an initiative with NewsX and Business World coming forth and bringing up entrepreneurs from various fields talking about how the life has been, how economy has been, how their personal businesses have been, and also discussing about what the industry has in store for them in the coming weeks and months together in wake of the pandemic, in wake of the lockdown now being lifted. With me is Dr. Anurag Batra, who joins me on the broadcast. Welcome on the show, sir. I will to Dr. Ashish Bhutani, who's the Managing Director of Bhutani Group, joins me on the broadcast. So does Ajay Datta, who's the founder and CEO of Data Xgen Technologies Private Limited. Atul Singhal, founder and CEO of Scriptbox. Rajesh Shukla also joins me on the broadcast. He is the Chief Mentor, FinRisk Consulting Services, and Atika Malik, who's the former COO and Chief Strategy Officer, Shell Sound West Asia Advertising, joins me on the broadcast. So, Dr. Bhatta, what's in store for us today? What's the topic of discussion, especially today?
Thank you, Megha. It's a pleasure to host it with you. Today we have entrepreneurs from various segments, and we'll talk to them about broadly four things. When is the demand going to come back? It's a credit problem apart from a liquidity issue. We'll discuss credit and liquidity. We'll also discuss what's happening to startups. Okay. Some of them are being able to raise money, but most of them haven't been able to raise money. And their revenues have not grown. In fact, they've degrown. So we'll talk to all of them about where is the economy headed, when the businesses will roar again. Let me start with Abhijit Kumar. Abhijit, you work with a plethora of startups. So tell us, how is the startup scene? There is a real worry that a lot of startups may fold up. Their revenues have degrown and they've not been able to raise money. Is this a real fear or are we exaggerating? Abhijit, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Anurag. Good evening, everyone. Yes, my job is majorly investing into startups. So I'm going to talk about from that context. Yeah, startups are struggling quite a lot because generally most of the startups survive on raising funds, right? So the more funds you raise, the longer you survive. The cash flow or the operational profitability takes a lot of time, especially minimum maybe 7, 8 years, 10 years to come in startups. Now with the COVID scenario, the funding has become quite difficult. It's not that the investors don't have money. It's just that investors are either betting on their own portfolio companies, their current investment.
Portfolio companies.
Yes. So they are saving, most of the money to put into their own existing companies, which also require it, right? So new investments have drastically come down. So startups who have not been able to move to a lean structure, cost-reduced structure, have already folded down and will get folded. So casualties will be very high, Anurag, I think, in current scenario for startups. So
what are the sectors that are seeing traction, that are getting money even in this tight cash crunch?
So a lot of new sectors which were unknown of or unheard of are getting funding. I would say, for few very home automation, not in the sense of lighting and all, but devices. Healthcare is getting huge funding. Sanitation, which was never a sector which was fundable, now getting funded. Food products, FMCG, innovative food products, they are getting funded. Automation in the sense of tech. So for example, remote working or your business automation, workflow automation, these kind of startups are heavily getting funded. So these 5-6 sectors, are suddenly getting more funded than any other sectors.
Thank you. I know one of the portfolio companies is in the same space with one of the Chinese apps. But if Reliance buys Jio, will everybody, Reliance buys TikTok, then everybody in that space may not have any relevance or at least lesser relevance. Facebook has launched Reels. So really, do you see Indian companies being able to raise enough capital to deal with a Jio, to deal with an Amazon, to deal with a Facebook, to deal with a Google, because really in some of the sectors you mentioned, they're aggressively investing. So tell us your take on this, Abhijit.
Yeah, so I missed that sector. Content and video is also picking up quite a lot. So yeah, as you mentioned, Bolo India was one of our portfolio company, but their valuation has grown 2 times in just 6 months. So that's the kind
that may not mean any. They raised $500,000. Yes. See, money is not the most important thing. How do you scale up customers? Where there are other apps that have come much later than them and are scaled up. So I'm saying for all these apps, not just for them. If Jio buys TikTok, they'll be irrelevant. So all this investment will go down the drain. And I want to take that example for other sectors in education. The reason you see a Byju's buying a White Hat Junior is because a lot of biggies are entering edutech. So, Byju's is trying to build a product portfolio and acquire an innovative company before anybody else acquires. So that's the point. I'll come back to you. But let me bring in Atika at this point. Atika, they say, and I've said this before on this telecast, in good times, you should advertise. In bad times, you must. So tell us, can advertising bring back demand? Or you can only do it when the times are good? And when do you see the demand coming back? Diwali is on 14th November. This is almost 3 months away. We know that demand will come back. But do you think we'll be able to sustain the demand beyond the festive period? Atika.
So thanks for that question, Anurag. At the outset, while all the indicators seem to be that the GDP will contract, and whether it's RBI or Nomura or whatever, there's the scary number of -5% GDP growth contraction is likely to happen. Now, while that number is still on the table, I think what's interesting is if we look at demand creation again in 3 pillars almost. So the first is really to recognize that very fundamental changes have happened in consumer sentiment, their mindset, their behavior, their buying practices, and to be really aligned to that. I mean, today, digital is going to be mass media, and it's how we can actually create complete, seamless consumer journeys on that, so that we can reach out to all the consumers who we may not be today, whether it's through voice, whether it's vernacular, whether it's discovery, it's post-purchase, delivering a car to my house with complete sanitization. So to recognize that these fundamental changes have happened. 2, I'll just add to what Abhijit was saying. It's very important, I think, to recognize the industries that are going to drive this new growth as well. Edutech, pharma, agrichem, lots of these new sort of exciting industries. 3, I think very important to recognize that there are going to be more local influencers. And, you talked about reels. So how are we going to be able to create a whole new body of demand creators, if you will? So people, who are reaching out and encouraging other consumers to buy is going to be another quite interesting manifestation. So how is real-time marketing online, which is democratized so that we reach out to many more people, I think is really recognition of that. The second pillar, I think, is refreshing. We worked with industries which are more traditional and, brands and categories which are more traditional. I think they'll have to refresh. They will have to see how do you create an event experience? How do you create a retail experience with AR online in a completely new way? How do I reach, a girl in Khunti or Gumla in a very convincing and an authentic way through, whether it's through outreach or influence? And the third, I think, is going to be relationships. Our brands and platforms and media going to come in with a very interesting way so that costs are relatively low, but you're going to be able to form partnerships which are very relevant for brands. So whether it's with channels or media houses or other brands which are talking to millennials, because frankly, the backbone, which is digital, has been already laid out with very low-cost mobile devices and very great data plans. So I don't think we're going to take as long or it's going to be as worrying if we manage to do these recognition of new consumer behavior, refreshing existing and leveraging relationships to keep costs down and reach maximized.
It's good to be optimistic, but they say hope is not a plan. We hope you're right, and it will augur well for the economy. But one of the things that has happened is everything has become D2C, digital to consumer, direct to consumer, the line between what is e-commerce and what is, content are blurring. And we'll come back to that. Ajay, COVID has become the chief digital transformation officer for a lot of enterprises and businesses. So much digital transformation has happened in the last 5 months for a lot of sectors and companies that may not have happened in the last 5 years. Tell us, where do you see this going? And do you see big winners and big losers? Give us your take on that.
Thank you, Anurag. Of course, there is obviously on a similar lines what Atika and Abhijit said, but I want to just add one word here: contactless economy, contactless innovation. And if you see this as an umbrella, contactless technology and innovation, then whatever Abhijit and Atika said fall under that. The new ways to deliver an event, new ways to maintain a relationship, new ways to have a marriage event, or a book launch, or a business world event, whatever we used to do in an old world, we will have to learn in new ways. So like I am meeting you right now and we are doing a show here. This, if the physical events were going on, this was not possibly even in our minds.
Yeah, we would have traditionally, me and Megha would have sat together in the studio.
Absolutely.
We would have invited you to the studio.
Absolutely.
And right now possibly you're doing it from Jaipur, so you don't need to travel to the studio.
So I think, if you know, we launched the video conferencing solution on the call of Government of India Innovation Launch. 2,000 odd app companies participated. And we have to understand that this is the land of opportunity right now from my point of view. This kind of opportunities have never come before. Abhijit will agree that startup ecosystem thrives on solving problems. That's the one word. Who can solve problems? Now, what better opportunity to solve problems everywhere? You name the space, you have to solve a problem. That is how I see it, and that is how the growth is. Another industry, apart from technology, is edible oil. I have not seen the biggest sales ever in last 3 months. Ever. Industry is moving because the unorganized sector is going away. People who do not have brands are finding difficulty to sell material, going goods. People are getting health conscious. So I'm sure for health is the key where we need to invest more, and everybody has an opportunity. The traditional health mechanism is not going to work for long. Education is going to transform. You might not see universities, large campuses for long. There may be few, I'm not saying everybody will be wiped out, but there are new opportunities to deliver education. 3D hologram, can a teacher be at everybody's home and take a class, or a new 10 people group in getting formed in a society and there. And in America, you are not allowed to send your children beyond a certain kilometers. You have to send your student to within a kilometer because of traffic, because of whatever regions they have. Now the similar situation, and an opportunity to come here. You could have the top class delivery sitting and student there. It does not take away the merit of meeting students together at the physical level. That will also happen. That doesn't. Maybe you have only 3 days.
The economy is creating more opportunities, and that may bring back the economy. That's Absolutely. What you're saying. Ashish Bhutani, you've been on the show earlier. Have things picked up in July and August for the real estate sector? You're primarily in the commercial real estate sector. I remember you said that, with the social distancing norms and the new space norms, the commercial sector will do well, and the economy will help get commercial real estate back on track. So tell us how July and August have been for the real estate sector and the commercial real estate sector. Ashish Bhutani.
First of all, thanks a lot for having me here again. As far as commercial sector goes, July was pretty much stagnant again. But from the first week of August, once things started moving, people started coming out. As I said earlier also, the time was like that when people were not sure what is going to happen. So they started to look out for alternative incomes and just not depend on salary or just not invest. A lot of people used to think 15 years from now or 10 years from now that we have 2 kids. So we should have 2 residential flats for them. Now the mindset is we should be having some assets for them that can give them income. So when those things are taken into play, obviously commercial investment is the prime most thing that people focus on. As of 1st of August, touchwood, things are now coming back to track slowly and steadily.
That's a very optimistic note. Megha, this is the most optimistic panel we've done, and maybe that's because of what's happened in August. In July, GST was back 84%. So, Atul, your opening comments, and I want to specifically ask you, have you seen startups benefiting from the economic stimulus that the government has given, and how do you see the outlook on the economy in the next few months? You'll have to unmute yourself, Atul.
I'm the eternal optimist. I mean, first of all, fantastic to be in a panel like this. I've always said that the ultimate test of India, or the ultimate strength of India, is its entrepreneur. We are enterprising. We are driven. So I come from the capital markets, right? At Stepbox, we manage money. So we really don't think short term. So my apologies. We typically think slightly more long term. We genuinely believe that this is a short term blip in the long term story of India. India is going to be strong. If you look forward 5 years, there couldn't be a better time than now to be investing. I mean, everybody's talking about the capital markets are ahead of the economy, and that's because the capital markets lead slightly ahead, and we believe that this is a great time to be investing. Yes, there are headwinds. We don't know whether we're in the beginning or the middle or the end of the COVID pandemic. What the health scare is, what the outcomes are going to be, whether there'll be a second wave. That will determine some of the economic recovery, the ability of people to come out, etc. In terms of your question around the economic stimulus, any money is welcome. How well it actually reaches the end consumer, how well it reaches the actual entrepreneur to transform, time will tell. But I think some of the reforms which have happened in agriculture will drive demand, and that is the ultimate piece. I mean, we've seen from the numbers in the FMCG, etc., that we're clearly seeing that there is increased demand in the rural areas, in the semi-urban areas. It will take some time, there is no doubt, but I am the eternal optimist that there is no time like now. And I think most industries will rebound. I mean, some will take longer, things like travel, hospitality, etc. But overall, there are new opportunities, existing businesses will thrive, and absolutely phenomenal to hear from commercial real estate especially. I mean, that's one area where most people have been worried, and if Ashish is feeling that's coming back, then there is no time like now. I mean, this is the place to be investing, to be careful. I mean, as I said, there are 4 pillars we've talked about. One is the health scare, second is the economic impact, third is the individual decision. I mean, what we don't know is that when we come out of this, will people become hedonistic and sort of start spending more because they suddenly see, hey, kya farak padta hai, let's just go spend our money? Or will people become more careful, like Ashish was saying, will start people, and we're seeing both behaviors. So we're seeing people who are saving more, we are seeing people who are spending more. So we don't know what the balance is going to be. The advertising people will know best on consumer sentiment. But yeah, overall, to your question, economic stimulus will work. The economy in the short term will suffer. There's no doubt, absolutely. But anything beyond 6 quarters, 8 quarters, this is going to be phenomenal. There's going to be consolidation with a good company.
I don't think there is any doubt or debate about India's attractiveness and India's economy in the medium and long term. We were talking the short term, but we value a perspective. Mr. Shukla, again, you work with startups, corporates. Tell us, where do you see the economy headed? What are the sectors that you are betting on? And do you see any issues post-Diwali? Again, there may be a slowdown. Mr. Shukla?
Yeah, Dr. Anurag. Are you getting me?
Yes.
Dr. Anurag, I feel the new policy of the government of India, especially Atmanirbhar Bharat, is giving a great opportunity to the entrepreneurs and startups, especially when the defense ministry and all other big ministries are restricting imports. That's a very good chance for the startup. They can study well and good margins are there. Number 2, I am monitoring on behalf of Government of India for the disbursement under the PSB scheme with CARE and Student Poor under the FinRisk. So we have seen in last 2 months, almost more than 2 lakh crores are dispersed as the working capital, as the MSME and startups. Now I feel next 40 days, we are launching a new concept where startups can get 70% working capital with a very low rate. So now the banks are going under PSB to fund the working capital of the startups. So that will be second thing. And as our previous people have told, that health will be a big sector. Then sanitization will be again big sector. Defense and ISRO is going to attract a lot of startups because till now defense was almost prohibited space for people and startups. So defense is going to play a big role. Now, last 2-3 months, we have seen a lot of companies are participating in agriculture sector, especially their artificial intelligence and machine learning for the pesticides, use of pesticides, fertilizer. Then we are expecting many more companies will come for distribution of agro products. As we are aware, almost 40-42% of the agro products are going waste because of the distribution system, our storage system, and all others.
Cold storage, so on and so forth.
And now with the Dr. Anurag, the new concept is coming under cold storage. We are promoting that farmers, 4-5 farmers are coming together. We are helping them with technology, with working capital. So the goods will be available in their village or near to village. And delivery system, especially Reliance with Amazon and others, are working to pick the goods from there itself and deliver.
So, farm to fork will become a reality. I mean, we've been talking for at least 10 years about getting farmers a better yield for what they produce. And you are saying with the single market initiative that the government has brought in the agriculture and the farm sector, you will see a better realization of price because it will use technology to make it farm to fork. Ashish, I'm very curious. What is the kind of companies, say before lockdown, if you had a certain kind of investor, say from the first week of August, the queries that you're getting, the closures that you're doing, has the profile of those investors changed? And if yes, how? If it hasn't changed, then my question is irrelevant. So give us a sense on who is these people who want to invest in commercial real estate and has the profile changed from March?
Yes, pre-lockdown, we usually used to get very seasoned investors. People who have invested a lot of time in real estate. This used to be their 4th property or the 5th property. But as we have seen August onwards, there are many first-time buyers who are coming. Pretty much I was surprised to know a couple of investors, particularly I would like to talk about, they came in and they had no idea what real estate is about, what documentation is about. Young couples, 28, 29, and they wanted to invest in commercial real estate as a secondary income option. That is what substantiates the fact as well that now people want real estate asset as their security. FDs, as people have seen worldwide, not just in India, the FD rate, the fixed deposit rate, was about 20-25 years ago, was about 12% per annum. It has slid to almost 4.5-5%. And as seen in the Western economies, as seen in Japan, it will slide to 0% or 0.5% per annum. People do realize real estate is the only safe bet. Commercial real estate is the only safe bet wherein they can have an income generating asset.
Okay, with flexi working, I won't call it work from home because yes, ma'am.
I just have to interrupt you. We're having a very interesting discussion on the economy opening up and how the industries are going ahead and benefiting from it, even though the times are not very encouraging. And Dr. Bhatta, you had a particular question that you wanted to go ahead and ask Dr. Bhatta.
Because I know you, I trust you, but it's contrary to, flexi working space, work from home, I know is a temporary habit. Some of it will stay, but I believe going to office for a lot of people is cathartic. It's a way of life. It's about human connection. It's about getting away from the same routine that you have at home. So I know offices will not go away in a hurry. We are right now constrained because we have a healthcare issue. So, but having said that, flexi offices will make sure that some of the office space requirement comes down, but maybe it will be messed up by growth from the companies in the content space, in the technology space, because they will grow hugely. So tell us, Give us a little more insights into what you are saying, that there is a interest in commercial real estate as a secondary investment and a secondary income. Give us some more granularity.
So what happens is, I'll add a couple of things to this. Pre-lockdown, the government norm was that it's 65 square feet distancing per square feet requirement as much as people. Like supposing there's a 10,000 square feet floor, not more than 130 people can sit on it. Now, after post-lockdown, the government issued an advisory that it should be 125 square feet now. That reduces the people to almost half, little more than half. What happens is, now people, good companies, major MNCs, would be requiring more grade A offices. Second of all, as far as you are saying what work from home, I have a simple question. You, any of the gentlemen, any of the fine ladies on the panel, anybody, would want to work from home in case Corona and everything, all the health scare goes away? I don't think
not. We would like to. I mean, I told you, office is an experience. It's not. I mean, we are doing okay, at least in media, because we can do content, but the sales is not the same. Distribution is not the same. So of course, we would like to have an office. So in a lot of industries, people would like to get to office, but we may not be in office all 5 days or 6 days, depending on what sector you work in. We may go to office 2 days a week, 3 days a week. But not having an office, I don't think in my mind is an option. And maybe we can take a poll here and see what people have to say. Right now, we don't have a choice. We want safeguarding people.
Mr. Satya Nadella, he started a very nice campaign. Whoever is thinking work from home, he did a very nice survey. And a very fine gentleman added along, if people are working from home on their laptops, all they are doing is giving inputs to the keyboard. I'm not talking about finer gentlemen that we are here. I'm talking about an average Joe who is sitting at home just typing in on the keyboard. They said, what is the guarantee that he will not be replaced by artificial intelligence in the next 10 years? It is about networking. Once you go out, once you interact with people, once you have an office, that's how you grow. Sure. Who would you want to work as an individual? A company like Google, who has an amazing office, amazing infrastructure, or a company I don't want to name and tells you, no, we'll make you work from home?
Anurag, I'll build on that point, and a point actually Atul made earlier. And he asked about which industries or what is consumer sentiment and where is demand going to come back. And I think it's quite interesting if you hear what everyone is saying. It's almost like the Maslow's hierarchy. So the roti, kapda, makan, livelihood, and even the commercial investment we are talking about is for livelihood. It is not that I'm an office buyer. I'm a young couple who wants my livelihood sort of protected for the future. So food, grain, security, education, healthcare, sanitation, those at the bottom of the Maslow's hierarchy, if you will, are actually the ones where demand is not really got impacted significantly. I will recover the first. And in fact, even if we call what we call love and belonging, so whether it is networking, Zoom calls, office, online, family relationships, again, that's a little bit middle of the tier. When you go to the top of the tier, where discretionary expenditure becomes really important, self-expression, fancy car, trendy holidays, aviation in first class, all that, which is all much more self-actualization and lifestyle oriented, that's taken the hit. So I think we are still somewhere at the bottom and middle of Maslow, but with the creation of these new sectors and new industries, we'll probably see that coming back a little bit. I think rebound would be a strong word, but at least a cautious rebound over the next 6 to 12 months after the roti kapda makan has been handled.
I think you make a very, very interesting point, Atika, and that's exactly going to be the point where realization of all that you have been seeking out to do when it comes to your businesses, when it comes to your entrepreneurship, when it comes to the achievements that you want to go ahead and fulfill. Atul, you want to come in over here, especially when it comes to the demand side. There is a glut, there is a supply and there is a glut when it comes to various sectors, various industries. How exactly do we go ahead and bring the demand back to the level that it was pre-coronavirus?
I'm assuming we take for argument purposes, the COVID scare is sort of behind us, either because of a vaccine or people just become more careful and cautious. So my industry actually is not seeing such a bad downturn. If you talk to Zerodha or any of these investment apps, they've actually seen a phenomenal time. But sort of to Abhijit's point, people want to invest, people have spare time, they're thinking about what to do. And as people invest, there is a spin-off effect, right? As more money comes into the capital markets, the entrepreneurs are able to invest more. So maybe not directly into startups like Ajay was saying, but I feel increasingly we'll get more money in the capital markets, and that should lead to an increase in demand. My sense is that you have to wear roti kapda aur makan. So one of the most impacted industries is retail. I know some people in apparel, both the supply and the demand got impacted.
And Atul, there is about 1,75,000 crores of lease rental discounting that happens in this country. That's at stake. That's another debate by itself.
So, I mean, we ourselves at Scriptbox, we have a property in Bangalore where we have our offices. We all work from home, but I feel co-creation, collaboration, ideation, innovation is difficult to do remotely. I mean, you can manage, but you will have to get back to offices. Demand will come from people like us. I mean, we have to start opening up our purse strings. We have to lead from the front. We have to start hiring people. We have to believe in growth. You can't be saying one thing and doing something else. So we're trying to put our money where our mouth is. We're starting to hire. We're starting to invest in advertising. We're starting to actually do. So we all were careful for 4 or 5 months. But if this is the new normal or this is the new way to live, let's make the most of it. So to your point, demand will come from us. I mean, we'll have to spend. We'll have to firepower the economy. Do it prudently. Obviously, it's investor money. We're not here to blow it up or waste it. But invest in growth because it's there. It's probably 6 months away for all. But if you invest ahead of the curve, you can hire better talent actually. You can. So that's my view. Demand will come from spending.
Yes.
Demand will come from us as entrepreneurs, our people who we invest in. And yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Abhijit, if you could answer the same question for me, especially when he goes ahead and says demand has to come from us, we need to go ahead and put money into the market. There are so many challenges and hiccups that are currently involved, especially number one being the fear of coronavirus. As much as there is the coronavirus spike and the number of deaths, which thankfully are reducing right now in the capital. But when you talk about Mumbai, when you talk about Bengaluru, things are not as smooth as one would like them to be. And only a vaccine, when its advent happens and it is gone ahead and provided to every single one individual in the country and across the globe, are things going to look better. But anything that we can do right now to further improve these patterns, improve these numbers, bringing the fear out of people's minds?
Abhijit, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry.
I think the single most used word in the last 5 months is unmute.
Yes.
I think we are able to unmute the economy.
Absolutely.
As Atul pointed out very rightly, there is no dearth of money in Indian ecosystem. From a startup perspective or any market perspective, investors are sitting on billions of dollars. So there is even if they keep pumping the money for the next 10, 20 years, there is enough money for again another 10 years. So even startups, MSMEs, small businesses, big businesses, they don't have to worry about. And I think the top strata hasn't reduced their spending, they've just diverted their spending. So you can't travel, so what do? You do shopping. So if you see the shopping, Amazon has done more business in the last few months than what they used to do, right? You compare their last 5 months this year compared to their last 5 months 1 year back. So they've done more business. So people are finding ways to spend. So I don't think top strata has any problem of spending. Yeah, middle and bottom strata will have problem spending because some of them might have lost their job. Agriculture got hit a little bit, but I think that's where government is coming into picture. They are empowering the bottom, so they'll make sure that the bottom and middle survives. And I think the top, the entrepreneurial layer or the business people, they are gonna strengthen the ecosystem from top to bottom. So my philosophy is the bad time is the best time to start for any business, because money is cheaper, you can raise money faster, you can get customers faster because customers have lesser options. You can emotionally kind of blackmail them and get to your product. So this is the right time to start up, especially for people who are sitting on the top of the pyramid. More management, I would say CXO level people should jump in, start up. This is most of the the global companies which are right now name of either Google, Amazon, all have started during depression. So
okay,
it's the best time, I would say.
I think that's an interesting point. Mr. Shukla, Rajesh Shukla, you'll want to make a point over there. Best time to start is during depression, when the market is in recession, because that's how you get the maximum returns at the cheapest prices.
Yeah, market is getting lot of demand, especially last 45 days. The people who are sitting in home, as other people told, all online companies are getting good orders. And more interesting, as a finance company, we are getting lot of LOI from the investors, especially from Europe and from Japan. And I hope next 40-45 days, good results start coming. On the other side, bottom and middle line is already funded by government. Government is trying to push hard through the PSUs bank and other financial institutions. And agriculture sector recovery is very good. I feel the real estate, especially small offices and affordable housing, is going to see boom very soon.
Interesting.
Abhijit, I want to ask you a question. Megha, I'm interrupting.
Yeah.
And I want to ask that to Ajay and possibly Ashish and everyone. Ashish, I know a lot of startup entrepreneurs have invested in your spaces earlier. What is the change in the mindset of a startup entrepreneur that you've seen? Has their conversation narrative changed? How they're looking at businesses? What is the fundamental change you see? First Abhijit and then Ajay. When you talk to startups.
Thanks.
We know that the valuations are more realistic, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But what's the single biggest change in the mindset of entrepreneurs that you see?
So previously they had to justify that 100% growth year on year. Now after COVID, they have to justify 100% year-on-year growth, plus they have to become profitable. So that's the biggest mindset. Now startups
profitability is back on the agenda.
Back? No, now
earlier it was how much money you raise, what is your GMV, so on and so forth. But you're saying that emphasis on profitability.
Yes.
Ajay?
Yeah, Anurag. Yes, Sundar.
I think this was starting, the profitability even starting.
Okay, there seems
and
to
we could see that people are looking at the profitable much more value than just the loss-making companies. We could see that, and the companies which are making losses are getting hit. But what I saw in last 3 months while mentoring lots of startups are the instinct to survive and fight. I think I have not seen that before. The fighter spirit. Those startups who are surviving right now are not really worried about whether they will get the money or not. They are now finding out the ways and finding out the means through which they can deliver the services and really capture that opportunity to see. अनुराग, बहुत अच्छी बात जो हुई है वो ये हुई है कि almost everybody is coming on a playing level field. आपके पास में शोरूम नहीं है, बड़े सेल्समैन नहीं है, ये they cannot go and influence anybody, they cannot go and meet in networking which you could not afford. So it is bringing that gap down. And now I have the similar opportunity to meet with a networking with a person. The way you can hear somebody, I can also hear somebody. I need not to wait for the pass of going to the networking event. It is available, and I am able to do that. And I can market. Social media has become very important. Abhijit just said about the higher sales of Amazon. I think this is more to do with lockdown in the country. दुकानें बंद हैं तो लोगों के पास फोर्स फुल खरीदना ही पड़ेगा. I don't think we should take this as an indicator, but one should definitely take it. It is a permanent change. It probably is. जिन लोगों ने अभी तक टेस्ट नहीं किया था इस चीज को कि मैं ऑनलाइन भी मंगा सकता हूं, मैं ऑनलाइन भी खरीद सकता हूं और मेरे घर पे सब्जी डिलीवर हो सकती है, जिन्होंने अभी तक बिल्कुल दूर थे वो लोग भी अब इस पे आ गए हैं. So there are certain things which are changing. Startups are now those who could not afford and who could not have that surviving instinct or the survival skills are struggling with that right now. But otherwise, I see there are many startups who have changed their way. They are sailing through. They are finding out the new ways to deliver, and they are actually growing well. They have doubled their revenue or made it profitable because of COVID. Rather, they could not make themselves profitable if the COVID was not there.
Okay. Ashish, do you see a change in the mindset of entrepreneurs? If yes, what is?
Very honestly, there will be no change in the mindset as such. Only their approach will change towards what they were working for. See, startup, if you try and understand, is mostly people trying to make it big in life about one particular passion they have, one particular product they have. But the basic idea is always to start from scratch. Even now, few things will change, but they will still want to do the same. They will find something else that they will want to start from scratch. But people are not going to sit idle. Once they have a mindset, they have to do something big, they are going to do that. They will die trying. Nonetheless, as far as I am concerned, my office demand will always be there. Whether they do A, whether they do B, or they do C, they'll always keep trying.
Okay, Mr. Shukla, SME is such a huge sector, and they also are the bulk of entrepreneurs. Tell us, do you see a lot of SMEs shutting down, or you actually see them innovating?
Yeah, actually, Anurag, SME is almost backbone of Indian economy. They are getting a structural change, and how you have pointed out that most of the startups and SMEs now understood the value of the profitability. If you see, पहले क्या होता था? If anybody is going to start a business, first you see the break even. But last 7-8 years, the people was more focusing how to get the money, how to get the money. Most of the discussion was how to create money. But last 2-3 months, if you recall, how we created Rajile, 4 तेल बेचने वाले, the 4th standard failed, and we took up to the IPO and made a 1,500 crore company. Same Sejal Glass, same local Bania. All was the very means small people cannot think they will go to the listing and they will drive the 3 crore, 4 crore car and they will sit in the BKC. But starting from 2012, the most of the people were starting only Anurag how to raise the money, Rajesh how to raise money. Most of the discussion, whether it's official or unofficial, how the raising
Series
the money.
A, Series B, Series C.
Series A, Series B, Series C.
Sound like cars, BMW, not sure.
Good offices, even if your business is 2 crore, people are having offices of 4,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet. Lavish party means costly budget.
We're focusing now on bare bones, less and more focusing on what delivers value.
Now today people have come back in a, like, if you are working from home, nobody is looking what kind of shirt, what kind of pant, what kind of perfume you are using. But if you are delivering value,
you know, I have a webinar perfume. Before a webinar I wear it. I feel confident.
Right. So last week we invested in 2-3 companies, and we also got investors. They are pushing. Now they start looking at value. And now the entrepreneurs as well as SMEs understood the profitability. Whomsoever was having a good client, they got 20%, 30% capital. And today every bank is calling to the good client, whether you want money, whether you don't want. Now, like the media sector, if you see, earlier the most of the people who was running or managing media had nothing to do with the media. Now you see, whatever the new investments are, this prospectus are coming, that's coming with what is the profile of the promoters, what kind of the top 20 people are going to work with you, how much money you are going to give. So now, if the good people...
We are focusing on fundamentals. Now people are
focusing on fundamental, right?
Megha, now that we have 10 minutes left, let's do what we do with them. Before I do that, why don't you ask the question, Megha?
I think, yes, with just last 10 minutes left, let's start off with the rapid fire and also speak about everybody over here who has an opinion on especially what has happened, what are the lessons that you've gone ahead and learned, what is the message that you would want to give to those who are seeking any sort of inspiration, any sort of goal points to ensure that this particular time goes off in a passage which is going to be easy, if not very, very difficult. Anurag, if you could start off with us.
I think, Megha, that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Megha is asking you, what are your top 3 learnings that will as a business person, as a professional, as an entrepreneur that you have internalized? Megha, that's a beautiful question. We'll get everyone to answer that shortly. We'll start with you, Atika. What are your top 3 learnings that you have internalized during this crisis?
So I think probably because I'm a consumer-centric person. For me, it's been research. Consumers are changing, and their behavior and attitude has got compressed. What would have taken probably months and decades of change, like digital education, would have gone baby steps, has got really compressed. So if we don't keep our ear on the ground and are listening to what our rural consumers are listening to, what our urban consumers are saying, and how rapidly their lives are going to be demanding new things, I think we'll get left behind. Second, I think the agility of some companies has been pretty spectacular. Whereas a food delivery company suddenly overnight morphs into an anything delivery company. That agility of business, I think, has been phenomenal. So companies who are not legacy, but on the ball and able to move really fast has been powerful. And third, of course, I think much has been said already on it, but really about how digital is going to be, the new mass media, if you will. So how do we, whether we sell, whether we engage, whether we're creating content, whether you're educating, whether you're doing telemedicine, really that's going to be critical. So any company that doesn't have that entire, customer journey remarkably mapped out, I think will miss a trick or two. So really, these have been my top 3.
Okay, Abhijit, your top 3 learnings.
I think first learning I had in this lockdown, personal. So what we all think is hard is not really hard. So I used to think cooking was very hard, but I learned cooking in the last 4 months. So I think that's all about, entrepreneurship. You need to
never say never.
Never say never. Yeah. You need to try. Yeah.
The mindset that we have, that we can't do that. We have to do away with that.
Second is, I think the whole stigma of that India doesn't have money. India has lots of money for, even if 10% of the whole country becomes entrepreneur, I think money is not a problem. It's more about innovation, getting out. And third is, when you are putting up a business, I think now the focus from only valuation has to move to cutting its, lean, profitability, operating, with least amount possible. I would say that the moment we have shifted online, our costs have drastically come down. Events were expensive. I think that's it. Thanks.
Okay, Atul Singhal.
Thanks, Anurag. So, the 3 things. One is, as Winston Churchill said, never waste a good crisis. So, see this as an opportunity, and we've clearly seen that we've changed our business model. The second is, as we are investors, this too shall pass. It looked like 3 months if somebody had told us in March that 5 months later you'd still be sitting at home. You would have never believed it, and you would have just gone into maybe depression. But I think the sheer power of human resilience comes through, and that's a great learning that we are resilient beings and we get this. And the third as an entrepreneur is the power of the P&L versus the power of the balance sheet. A lot of us, a lot of entrepreneurs believe the balance sheet is important. It's really not. It's the P&L which is really important. So cash flows matter. Focus on on generating cash, not on just accumulating valuations by pumping up your balance sheet. So 3 lessons: never waste a good crisis. This too shall pass, and P&Ls matter. Balance sheets are not so important. So those are my lessons of entrepreneurship.
Ashish Budani.
First and foremost, the honest thing is, clients, the mindset I was thinking they had was always predominantly more about save and save. But now it will actually switch. The people who used to save, according to me, are the ones who are going to spend, and the people who used to spend are the ones who are going to save. Because in lockdown, the people who were spending did not have enough money, and the people who were saving didn't know what they were saving for. God forbid something happens to them. That was one of the learnings. Second, digitalization. No matter how many times people say it, what people say it, I'll not like to name that area, but I read in a major Delhi, Calcutta's red light district got online. So when I read that, and how would that be possible If that can happen, I don't think much of anything is actually left to get converted online. So very honestly, digitalization, whichever company does not focus from augmented reality to entire mapping of everything, I think they'll miss a leaf, very honestly.
We had jewelry entrepreneurs on the chair who said people are trying jewelry through AR, VR. I mean,
Absolutely.
we don't buy jewelry till we don't actually visit the showroom. So if that can happen, and use that example, especially with the festive season, I think even real estate, people don't buy real estate till they visit. But I think, again, real estate, virtual walkthroughs will play even more bigger role. Virtual demos of products, virtual brochures, all that is becoming bigger. Ajay Datta?
I think biggest lesson for me is that anytime, anywhere working is possible now. And this used to be even before possible, but you never realized this was possible as easy as now we are able to execute. And you can get actually much more better output rather on a day-to-day production, day-to-day delivery than what is delivered in office. In many cases, this is absolutely true, not in every case. That's one learning, anytime, anywhere working is very much important. Second is, this pandemic time has given a lot of opportunities. Do not waste it as Atul has also
created more time to be productive.
Absolutely. You have no social gatherings, no meetings, no friends, no cards, no movies, no restaurants. Nothing is happening. So you have this entire time for yourself. And time is money. We all know that. And that's what, so time is actually becoming very, very valuable right now to be more productive. So you are, this is actually a very big learning, and it gives us a thought process new that how much time was utilized, which was not actually required to be just wasted like that. That is very clearly visible now when you sit down and analyze things. And third is the value of the team. I think now, because you are not meeting in a formal way, now you are able to, now at least me, I'm able to talk to individually by having our video meeting and discuss a lot more than before. So now I can realize, I can understand what's going on with their family, how he is behaving, where he's staying. This was not even actually in the radar to understand.
That has broken hierarchies, and we've got to know our colleagues much better.
Absolutely. So basically, understanding the team is also new learning, which creates a better bond, better understanding between the teams. So 3 lessons again: anytime, anywhere working, value of time, and having the great team, understanding of great team.
Mr. Shukla, your top 3 learning.
Top 3, first I learned that government bank funding is much more easy than any private funding. Earlier, last 15 years, I was thinking private investor and global investors are much more competitive or easy. But last 2 months, I have seen the government banks fundings are much more easy and very economical, and lot of say flexis there. Number 2, we have learned focus on the fundamental. Instead of going on size of the balance sheet, now we start looking the quality of the promoters, focus of the promoters, and the P&L, how fast profit will come. And third, we learn that nothing is impossible. Like earlier, we were thinking if CFO is not there, CTO is not there, company secretary is not there, then team is not completed. But in last 3-4 months, sitting in BKC, Bandra, 4 or 5 people or 6 people instead of 300 people. Now we are able to conclude the deal very fast in both way, investment side also and distribution side also. So
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Megha, I want to ask you, what are your top 3 learnings? I know we have 1.5 minutes. What are your top 3 learnings of being a professional and hosting the media shows that we do?
I think one particular thing that I definitely learned, and that should be the learning curve for everybody over here, is never give up. Continue to go ahead and utilize this time, utilize the resources, and obviously you come out with some really innovative measures to counter a lot of challenges that you end up facing. So that was the biggest learning point. And obviously adversity is the mother of all invention, and that's exactly what we have been doing at our channel as well. So we're utilizing this point of time. The crisis has been turned into something very beautiful, where we are going ahead and taking on challenges head on, and trying to make it as lucrative an affair and as effective and insightful an affair, like having these Zoom meetings with all of you, because that's again a point of innovation over here, where you go ahead and utilize something which has been a challenge or a hiccup and going about converting into something that is going to be useful and lucrative on a larger scale of level. And I think that's been the taking point from all the guests that have joined us on over here, and Dr. Batra, from you as well. I thank all my guests once again for giving us these insights about their particular industries, their particular companies, their entrepreneurship ventures, and how the market needs to resolve the situation at hand, the crisis at hand, and these are new opportunities that need to be grabbed heads on.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.